New trade deals, and after inflation ticked a bit higher last month, it's time to lay out exactly what consumers are bracing for. So joining us live with a bit of a breakdown, Israel Global Consulting founder and consumer expert, Tsvetta Kaleynska. Good to see you once again. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here.
So let's break this down into some categories. What did you find when you were looking at where consumer sentiment falls across different platforms and areas?
So in July, over 3.5 million consumers used social media to share their opinion on the state of the economy in the U.S. The results were pretty clear. Listen, consumers are torn. They are cheering for the stock market, but they're really cringing at the grocery bills that they're seeing. And this month, consumer sentiment was negative, mixed to negative globally, but actually really slightly, very slightly improved in the U.S. Key concerns, as you mentioned just now, were U.S. consumers did remain very, very wary about inflation, tariffs, topics such as housing and the general economy, state and uncertainty. And the positive pockets that we did see were very isolated, and they were only in travel, AI and technology, and the healthcare sectors.
Let's talk about a couple of those sectors in a little more detail. Let's start with retail. What were folks saying or talking about when it comes to retail as far as how they felt about it?
So retail actually was on the mixed to negative sentiment in July of this year as consumers actually criticized price hikes. The interesting finding that I saw among those consumer conversations on social media was that actually Gen Z was very, very clear and very vocal about their shift and their move that they're making to value stores. They named actually several really large chains that they're moving to, which were Aldi and Walmart. So again, they're changing the way that they shop and the way that they spend.
Yeah, for the younger consumers, for sure. How about travel?
Oh, travel was amazing. So very high positive sentiment. I mean, obviously not surprising. We are in the season of summer, but that also corresponded to the really strong earnings that we saw for some of these travel companies and the seasonal demand that did drive a very, very upbeat sentiment among the U.S. consumer. And it did also come up in my findings that the U.S. consumer was mostly excited to travel to Europe this summer. I don't know if you're going anywhere, but I can tell you that I'd love to go to Europe as well.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of this obviously comes from social media posts, right? And so do you think that the travel part is just people saying, like, if I'm going to spend my money somewhere, it's going to be on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love analyzing conversations from social media because people are not prompted to answer a specific and give you a specific answer. And yeah, I do think that people were just mentioning, again, it has to do with the seasonality that it is summer right now. People are taking more vacation and they are traveling. So the earnings that we saw in the last quarter from these travel companies and airlines and hotel chains did also match to what we did see from consumers as well. They were happy. I mean, the economy, as we see, is very difficult, very uncertain. And I think that is what contributed to the positive sentiment for consumers this month.
You don't see typically a lot of the older Americans that are pushing as much on social media when it comes to certain things like that would drive the economy. Did that impact healthcare at all? Where did healthcare land?
So healthcare remains a very, very stable segment overall. We actually saw healthcare conversations grow with the announcement of the tariffs back in March. But overall sentiment did remain very stable, which is actually great for our economy. So it's seen as very essential by consumers. Consumers did, of course, question some of the healthcare and pricing ethics when it comes to cost related to healthcare. But overall, I would say it's a very stable industry. It is also a very stable driver of sentiment and basically mixed to more positive sentiment, especially in the month of July.
All right, let me wrap it up by asking you this, because you said you like to analyze all the trends. When you look at things like social media and you see, you said it's unprompted, of course, people are just speaking their mind, essentially. How much do you think that actually falls in line with the direction that the economy may be going?
Oh, I think it falls not only in line, it is basically the only indicator that we can use to understand how consumers really truly feel about specific segments and, of course, specific industries. I am a firm believer that, and we can see from data, basically, when we survey customers and when we look at unprompted discussions, we're able to really understand the true sentiment of the consumer. So I'm a firm believer that this is the accurate data that we're looking at, and I'm looking forward basically to seeing the results for July 2025 that the government's going to issue and post in just a week.
Yeah, we'll see how it matches up. We have to listen to what people have to say out there. Tsvetta, thank you so much. Always good to talk to you. I appreciate you joining us this morning.
Likewise, thank you.
All right, it's 9:21 right now. Let's switch gears. Let's get out to a Fox 5 field trip.